sun is now in the region of the sky known as Virgo, and this began at the end of the day on September 15th. And you'll notice that Virgo's head is where the ecliptic, or path of the sun, intersects with the red line, which represents the celestial equator. The other point of intersection is in the constellation of Pisces, and these represent the equinoxes, which happen in the spring and then again in the fall. Equinox means equal night, and these are the 2 times a year when the light and the dark are balanced. And even though the astronomical equinox is set to be September 23rd, which is the day I'm recording this video, this year September 26th will be the actual day here in Buffalo that we'll experience 12 hours of darkness followed by 12 hours of sunlight. After that, the dark will begin to dominate once again. So the light of the world right now, the Son of God, is shining down upon us from the region of the sky connected with the Virgin Mary, a symbol of the archetypal mother. Virgo is the largest constellation in the zodiac, encompassing 50 degrees with a 360-degree circle. And that means it takes about 50 days for the sun to move all the way through this constellation, which will take us all the way to November 4th. So if you were born between September 15th and November 4th, then your true sidereal birth sign is Virgo. Keep in mind, of course, that when the sun's energy shifts from one constellation to the next, the transitions are gradual. So if you were born close to September 15th, you probably got a little Leo energy in there. And if you were born closer to November 4th, you might have some Libra tendencies, which I'll talk about next time. Tropical astrology will tell you that the sun entered the imaginary sign of Virgo on August 23rd and was only there for 30 days until September 22nd. But if you watch the sky and track the stars, you'll find out pretty quickly that this is a deception.
Fake news.
And in my opinion, just another way the satanic, demonic controllers of this world have attempted to steer us all away from a direct connection with reality. And they've tried to corral us pretty successfully into a virtual reality, a reflection of this place that looks and feels kind of the same, but something about it just isn't quite right. And that's called a simulacrum. And this idea was hinted at in the movie The Matrix. In a lot of ways, we're already living in a matrix, but that's never been quite as obvious as it is now. We can see that there are still people who believe that masks prevent the spread of infectious diseases. And lots of people still believe the new injections are going to give them even more protection from that scary invisible enemy called a virus. Something that we can't see or feel, and we regular people have actually no way of knowing for sure if such a thing even exists. Now, I'm not saying viruses don't exist, but I should at least be allowed to ask the question. Same thing with flat Earth. We regular people can't go up into space, then look back down to this place and see what shape it actually is. We're just supposed to believe people like this guy. Now, the exact same scenario actually applies to the question of whether God exists. The belief in something that can't be proven is called faith, and it requires trust in the people telling the stories. The difference between faith in government and faith in God is that faith in God results in a belief that everything's going to be okay, and it all happens for a reason. There's always a bigger picture, a grander plan. And those of us who have this kind of faith believe strongly that God has our best interest at heart. Faith in government, on the other hand, results in the belief in invisible enemies, in manufactured boogeymen, like viruses, or terrorism, or climate change, or systemic racism. This puts people in a state of constant fear that everything's not going to be okay. How would you rather live? So if we want things to change for the better, we should probably try to help people disconnect from the news and maybe help them connect with actual reality. And what better way to do this than looking up at the night sky, pointing out planets and constellations, things that we can all see and share that provide little clues about the reality we're living in. And there's a lot of stuff going on social media right now about prophecies being fulfilled, particularly related to the book of Revelation, which refers to a woman clothed with the sun with the moon under her feet. Now this happens every year after the first new moon with the sun in Virgo. And the next line in Revelation goes on to say she gives birth to a child. And a lot of people are pointing to this asteroid that's named Child, which is in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, which used to be the planet Tiamat before it was destroyed. The problem I have with making those types of connections is that this asteroid seems to make its way through Virgo every few years or so. This isn't something that only happens every 2,000 years or even every 500 years. It actually seems pretty common, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm recording this video on September 23rd, which is the date that a lot of people are saying something big is going to happen. Maybe it will. And if it does, awesome.
Yes!
But if not, it's just more proof that none of us really knows how the future is going to unfold. And if you hang your hopes on someone else's predictions based on their interpretation of a biblical prophecy, then you're not really contributing to the future using your own creative imagination. And I think that's the true magic of this place, that we human beings have the ability to imagine a better life or a better world. And through our persistent thoughts and our words and our actions, we can actually bring these imaginings, these thought forms, into physical manifestation. Abracadabra. At this time of the year, around the autumnal equinox, if you look to the south after it gets dark, you should be able to pick out Sagittarius, and then Capricorn and Aquarius. Here's a picture I took of Sagittarius at about 9:30 on September 4th, and you can recognize it by looking for that rhomboid asterism in the center. From there, you should be able to identify the bow to the right and the chain of stars up to the left, which represents the archer's arm. Now, further toward the east, you should be able to see Capricorn and then Aquarius. And to find these, I like to look for the diamond-shaped asterism in Aquarius that I think kind of looks like the flux capacitor, and then extrapolate from there. It helps if you have a picture or a map or an app on your phone as you try to make out these figures. And notice what's right there in the middle of the constellation of Aquarius. Saturn, the astrological symbol of control and restriction and the passage of time. And you don't need a powerful telescope to see Saturn with its rings. I took this picture with my Canon EOS RAW camera with a simple telephoto lens. Pretty cool. And if you'd rather get up early in the morning, you'll see Orion, which is one of the easiest constellations to find, although it's not a zodiacal constellation. But Orion can point you to Taurus and the Pleiades and then Aries. Just follow the belt of Orion up and to the right. To find Taurus, look for the V-shaped asterism with that bright red star Aldebaran at one of the ends of the V. This is the eye of the bull. And notice that off a little further to the right is one of the brightest stars in the sky, the planet Jupiter, right under the constellation of Aries, where it'll be until next spring. And you can see that with your own eyes. Once you start seeing these things, they get a lot easier to find, and eventually you have a better sense of what to look for at different times of the year. And I personally think this is how our ancient ancestors kept track of the passage of time. I don't think they relied on clocks, and I don't think they were constantly looking at their phones. The new moon approached Virgo with the sun on September 14th, and you may have been able to see the sliver of the crescent moon after sunset a day or two later. The moon will be full just as it's setting in the morning of September 29th in the middle of the constellation of Pisces, which you can see pretty easily right now in the night sky to the left of Aquarius. So find that flux capacitor again, and then look for a group of stars that looks like home plate on a baseball diamond just to the left or eastward. And if you do find Pisces, then you can track the moon as we get closer to September 29th, and you can easily verify for yourself that the full moon will indeed be in the constellation Pisces, not in Aries like the mainstream astrologers will claim.
Fake news.
This full moon in Pisces will be the closest to the autumnal equinox, which is when the sun crosses the boundary of the celestial equator, which is the red line on this chart. That means this will be the harvest moon for 2023. With the moon related to the subconscious and dreams, this is the time of year to work on separating the weeds of your mind, those destructive or not useful thoughts, particularly your subconscious mind, through dream interpretation and meditation, from the wheat, which are the thoughts and dreams that produce desirable results in your life. So I found it kind of funny that Trump's mugshot was taken on the day Mercury went retrograde in Leo, right next to Mars, god of war, symbol of the sacred masculine. I don't know what that all means, but it's interesting. And he posted his mugshot on Twitter, or X, that same day with a message encoding the word end. And before the trickster went retrograde, Tucker Carlson released an interview he did with President Trump at the same time Fox News was airing the first Republican primary debate. So the next Mercury retrograde is going to be around Christmas, from December 14th until New Year's Eve, going station direct at around 11 p.m. before the ball drops. And this retrograde will take Mercury from Sagittarius back into Ophiuchus, into the Golden Gate, the galactic center, crossing paths with Mars, the god of war, on his way. So it'll be interesting to see what types of messaging we all get related to war as we approach this Christmas season. Venus is the bright star that comes up in the east right now before sunrise. And that planet Venus has been kind of a conundrum for me for quite a long time now. It seems like a lot of people consider it evil because its path makes a pentagram inside the circle of the zodiac over the course of 8 years. But if you're looking, you could see the pentagram all over nature. And the dimensions of the 5-pointed star encode the golden ratio, or phi, which is also called the signature of God. Some people point to the book of Isaiah, when the prophet writes, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?" and try to attach this to Venus in its morning star form. That just seems kind of weak to me. And in Revelation 22:16, the very last chapter of the Bible, Jesus calls himself the bright and morning star. The word Lucifer actually means bringer of light. To me, this is a lot closer to Prometheus than it is to the devil. Remember, Prometheus was the god who returned light to the people after it had been taken away by Zeus as punishment. I think maybe it's most appropriate to connect Venus with light or enlightenment. It's the brightest of the 5 visible planets. And it makes sense to me to connect it with the sacred feminine because it alternates, spending 9 months as the evening star and then 9 months as the morning star. And Venus was the Roman goddess of love, or maybe more accurately, affection and lust. When used for good, the sacred feminine supports motherhood and it protects children, and it stands on the non-aggression principle. The evil ones in this world always seem to try to invert these ideas and destroy these sacred archetypes. With the sacred feminine, they do this through the promotion of abortion and the idea that violent protests are mostly peaceful. And maybe soon, through the reintroduction of a suspiciously masculine-appearing female character into this unfolding political drama. So we can't see Venus's archetypal partner in the sky right now, Mars, because it's too close to the Sun. And Mars and the Sun are going to cross paths on November 18th in Libra, as you can see here, and then probably around Christmas time we'll be able to see the red planet again in the east before sunrise. So the god of war is invisible to us for the next couple of months, and then it will reappear again as we get closer to Christmas. And remember, it'll cross paths with a retrograde Mercury around that time as well. So again, if you see any messages pertaining to war on the news or in social media, it might be worth a moment to take a look at where Mars is and see if you think there's any connection. So I'd like to actually do a really quick review of where Jupiter has been over the last few years, and then we can think about whether the story unfolding around Commander-in-Chief Donald Trump fits into this pattern at all. You'll remember in late 2020, an election appeared to have been stolen right before a great conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn, which happens once every 20 years. And to me, this great conjunction is symbolic of the struggle between freedom, Jupiter, and control, Saturn. Right after that, those two planets moved into Capricorn, the realm of empires. By the middle of April, Jupiter had already left Capricorn and moved into Aquarius, the realm of dissemination of information. Saturn stayed behind in Capricorn, the realm of government. Jupiter then went retrograde back into Capricorn in August and then left for good right before Christmas in 2021. By March of 2022, Jupiter had already moved all the way through Aquarius and had entered Pisces, which is symbolic of dissolving back into the waters of the luminiferous ether. This would correspond to a period of relative inactivity for Jupiter. And it was in Pisces for a full year. And this is the realm of creative imagination where plans might be made. In May of 2023, just a couple of months ago, Jupiter moved into the action-oriented fiery realm of Aries. And right around that same time, Trump came under fire from the Biden DOJ and the other puppets of the entrenched administrative state. Now, Jupiter is still in Aries, confirmed by this picture I took just last week, and it just went retrograde again on September 6th. So it'll be moving back through the realm of Aries until December 30th when it'll start moving forward again. So if Trump's story follows the path of Jupiter, he would continue to be under fire until the end of this year. And I don't think that would surprise anybody. But let's not forget the other planet in the realm of Aries right now.
You promised the moon, but I preferred
Uranus, the symbol of revolutionary change, which has been there since April of 2019, a year before the pandemic was rolled out. So Jupiter will continue to move through Aries until the end of April next year, 2024, as it crosses paths with Uranus, and then they'll both move into Taurus together. I think that's pretty interesting timing. Saturn is still in Aquarius, as we saw right here in this photo already, and it'll be there until February of 2025, which is after the next presidential election if things happen on schedule. And who knows if there's really any cause and effect here, but it sure is interesting that so much is being revealed right now to the general public about the corruption and deception and criminal activity that exists within government and the pharmaceutical industry, the mainstream media and social media, and all sorts of other corporations. Saturn is the symbol of control, which is why I think people who seem to want to control this world also seem to worship this symbol. I think if we want things in this world to change for the better, we're going to have to wake up a lot of people. We have another year and a half with Saturn in Aquarius, which seems like plenty of time to wake up a lot of people. Fingers crossed. So that's it for this Patriot Astrologer forecast. I hope you found this information uplifting and a little bit entertaining. If you like this video and you want to see more, please give me a rumble. Hit like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and don't forget to share with your friends. As always, I hope you're able to get outside this month, look up to the sky, and verify for yourself where those stars actually are. My name's Jerry D, and I'll see you again when the sun moves into Libra.